Hello, it's Kathy here from Chill Mama. How are you today? I had quite a nice day. It's been damp, but we still went out. It's half term, and I went with the children down to Berkhamsted Castle. So it's ruins of a Motte and Bailey Castle, but it's really clear, and there's quite, it's amazing how much was there, and it's just free. You just turn up. And we got the train from Leighton Buzzard, which meant that, and the castle is just on the other side of the station, just outside the station at Berkhamsted. So that was really cool. So today I'm going to talk to you about breathing through contractions. There seems to be some mystery about breathing through contractions, and I've been asked by lots of women, they've heard about this breathing through contractions or breathing your baby down, and want to know, what is it? How do they do it? Or women who've in labour, their midwife was saying to them, just breathe through your contractions, just breathe through your contractions, and they weren't quite sure what she meant. So I'm going to talk today about why actually thinking of having a bit of a plan for breathing through contractions is quite a good idea. You think, oh yeah, well I can breathe, and that obviously we all breathe all the time, but there can be a tendency, if we're feeling a bit anxious or a bit stressed, to hold our breath. If you hold your breath, then you're not getting oxygen to the baby, and you're not getting oxygen to the uterus muscle. And we often don't think about labour as a muscle action. The pregnant uterus is the largest muscle in the human body. Lots of muscle fibres, and they need to work well. If you've ever watched people, you might have run a marathon, but most of us, like myself, watch somebody running a marathon, and that they, you hear them talking on the interviews about running relaxed and keeping the breathing so that the oxygen goes to the muscles. And because if you get the balance wrong and you're not getting enough oxygen to the muscles, then they can cramp, and it can be really, really painful. So having some kind of breathing thing to help get the oxygen to the muscle and oxygen to your baby is quite a good idea. The other thing about having some plan about breathing, having a bit of thought about breathing, is that there's sort of two things you don't want to do. So you don't want to stop breathing, so you don't want to hold your breath, like I said, but also you don't want to breathe too fast. Oh, pains. We all make noises in labour, that's fine, absolutely fine. But it can find that, particularly to begin with, it can be overwhelming, and you're breathing too fast, then you're not getting the right balance of oxygen, and I always forget what it is. You breathe out carbon dioxide, you breathe out, don't you? And yeah, that's not very nice for you, and doesn't help your muscle to work well. So the other thing about having a thought about breathing through contractions is that it can actually help you to have something to focus on. And that can be really useful as a coping strategy in labour, is having something to focus on. So now there are different techniques that you can do. I'm a big advocate for keeping it simple. I've got my mum's pregnancy book. One day I'll have to bring it to show you. I'll get it out. And the book she had when she was pregnant with me, I was her first, and it's all about breathing through contractions. So this was a big thing in the 1960s, late 1960s, and they advocated this breathing through contraction, but they had different breathing for different stages. And so there was A type breathing and B type breathing and C and D, and it had little diagrams so that perhaps in early labour you would do A breathing, and then you might do A breathing and then B breathing and then back to A breathing, all within a contraction. And then when it got tougher, you might do A and then into B and then C or D and then back to B. And they were really quite confusing, to the point that the NHS stopped teaching anything about breathing, because they found that women were getting so stressed about, were they doing it right? Were they remembering which type of breathing? So they stopped doing it. And which is a shame, really, because I think it's a really darn useful tool to have up your sleeve. I was very fortunate that I was taught a very simple breathing technique when I did my NCT classes many moons ago. Thank you very much, Sue, for teaching this to me. And it's a really, really simple technique, because it's all you do, the only thing you have to remember is focus on your out breath. That's it. So it's all about breathing out in a steady rhythm. Trying to make sure that your jaw and your shoulders are relaxed. Just in your own rhythm, maybe not as noisy as me. I'm trying to make sure you can hear it. And that's it. The good thing about focusing on the out breath is if you focus on the in breath, then you might hold your breath. But focusing on the out breath, your body will automatically breathe in. So just focusing on the out breath, just doing it in a rhythmic fashion, and that's all you need to remember. There's a couple of tips to make it even more effective, and the first one is to do a longer welcome breath at the beginning. So you're starting your contraction, so you do a long welcome breath, and then at the end you do a longer goodbye breath. I'll give you an example. So you might start off, here comes the contractions, you get in position and you get ready and you relax yourself, here it comes, and you do a long welcome breath. And then you carry on breathing out in your own rhythm. And you do that through your contraction. And then when it gets to the end, you do a longer goodbye breath. And so blow it away. And give yourself a shake. And that's that one dealt with. And the other tip, so that helps to bookend it. And it's sort of in your mind, right, I've done that one. And it also, you're getting rid of any stress or tension that's built up during that surge, that contraction, that wave of power. The other tip is to practice when you're having your Braxton Hicks. So when you have your Braxton Hicks, try the breathing. Practice it in the shower when nobody can hear you. You feel a bit of a nana perhaps, but it will pay off because it's quite hard to do something new when you go into labour. So practicing it now in the lead up to labour will make it easier to get into a rhythm of doing it. The last tip is that when you actually go into labour, start doing it quite early on, even if they're quite short, but you can get yourself into this rhythm, this pattern. What Penny Simpkin would talk is the ritual of, right, this is how I deal with contractions. Now, of course you can do different types of breathing, and if you've learnt something else and it works for you, do it. Do whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. This is just one way of doing it that I've found really effective. You may find if you want, when contraction's really strong, that you might try and blow them away. Just blow them away, and you might find that good. The couple of points in labour that you might try something different. Now, in my experience, you don't actually need to do anything different when you are pushing, because you don't necessarily need to push with your body. You may find you can't not, and that's fine. But you just carry on breathing out for as long as you can. Because you're trying to relax and let your body just do it without you doing any effort, really. You might be walking or marching or rocking or swaying, whatever you need to do. But that when it comes to pushing, so it might be something like you are breathing out, and you feel the urge to bear down, and you can't do anything about it. But you're trying to not resist it, because you don't want to stop your body doing it, but you're trying to just let your body do it itself. So it might go something like this. And this is, after you're fully dilated, when the contractions, the surges have pulled the uterus muscles up, the cervix has opened fully 10 centimetres, and then you're starting to have contractions change, and you're now bearing down, and so you're breathing like this, and you're breathing through. Here comes a contraction. Do your welcome breath. And it's gone. Goodbye breath. Pushing contractions are a bit shorter than in the first stage, so it may be as short as that. Does that give you a sort of idea? So you're trying to breathe through it, but there are times when you just have to go, oh, and that's when you do your mowing. You're mooing like a cow. So the only other time you might want to do something different is at the point of crowning. Now, you can support the point of crowning. You can put your hand down and you can be there and guide your own body out. Or you can listen to the midwife. The midwife will be watching and she'll tell you to pant. And the trouble is, she says pant, but because the bit where your language has shut off, so you're now non-verbal and you think, I have no idea what she means. What is she talking about? So you can, this is something to cue to your partner, the blowing out the birthday candles. So, and practice blowing out the candles. And you can get your partner to give his hand. So when the midwife says, pant, don't push, pant, that's when you get him to shove and say, blow the candles out. Because you've practiced it, here you go, and it's much shorter, little short breaths, so that you don't go, but you may find you go, and because that's what your body does. So anyway, that's short and sweet. If you join the birth dreaming and pregnancy relaxation and antenatal course, we will be going more into breathing through contractions, and we're actually going to practice breathing without being noisy like me in different positions, so you can actually practice it in positions you might be in labour. Do get in touch with any questions. I'd love to get your messages. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and so that I know. And I am going to, next one I think is going to be about partners and how partners can help, and whether you should bring your partner to the birth dreaming pregnancy relaxation course. Okay, ta-ra for now, bye. I'm off to talk about breastfeeding to a pregnancy yoga class this evening over in Leighton Buzzard. Bye.